I've got my hands on the first ever fully wireless group set from China, the Wheeltop EDS TX, and in this video I'm going to give it the full rundown. Cheaper group sets from China is nothing new. Our friend Luke over at Trace Velo has carved a career out of sharing his trials and tribulations with us. In the last few years we've seen offerings from brands like L2 and Sensei. First it was all mechanical, then it was mechanical shifting with hydraulic brakes, and then they eventually went to electronic shifting. However, at the same time, a well-established but little-known brand called Wheeltop released their own system, but their variant was fully wireless. Initial reports from trusted channels like Joe at China Cycling and Seth at Burn Peak suggested it was a pretty good bit of kit and well worth considering. But then, poof, it disappeared in a puff of smoke as quickly as it came. Now, some people suggested that that was down to its, shall we say, uncanny similarities to the offering from SRAM. I believe the official explanation was the battery fitment was redesigned to improve waterproofing. But all that is water under the bridge, and I'm not going to get involved in it. The main thing is, it's back, it's been given a remix, and my channel is one of the ones fortunate enough to have been selected to try one out. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. So the first question that a lot of you are going to have about this group set isn't about the wireless this or the hydraulic that. It's going to be, who the heck is Wheeltop? Well, Wheeltop was founded in the 50s. And so, you know, when you see a bike, I don't know, from Giant or Trek, for example, and it's got a spattering of components that you recognise, but it's got a crankset and a saddle that you've never heard of. Well, that's what Wheeltop have been manufacturing for the last 70 years for some very big bike builders, and they've been doing it very well. So the way I see it, that's got to be a good thing, right? Right, so let's take a closer look at it. Okay, so first of all, before we start, must warn you that we may end up getting a lot of background noise. My workshop roof is metal, it's 2 foot above my head, and it's chucking down with rain outside. So fingers crossed, it won't get too bad, but we may need to pause the video. Right, so I've been aware of this group set for a couple of months now, but genuinely I have not seen it, and I have not unpackaged it before the video. This is the first time I've seen it, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing what we've got here. So let's just break the seal. So we've got a card insert telling us what we've got and a QR code to scan for the app. So this is a fully wireless drop bar group set with hydraulic braking. Now, as is always the way with the Chinese manufacturers, this is what they call a small group set. So it is shifters, derailleurs, the braking and the accessories. Prices for this group set start from £514, and this disc version is coming in at roughly €739, which is about £630, or roughly $800 US. Now, this particular group set is slightly different to the offerings of companies like Shimano because this group set is fully wireless, so it's more akin to the offering from SRAM. Now, my understanding has always been that Shimano didn't go fully wireless because of patents held by SRAM. Now, if that is the case, it will be interesting to see how Wheeltop has got over that. So first of all, let's take a look at the shifters. So taking a closer look at the shifters, my overall impression is I'm very impressed. They are very good. So you've got the actual paddle itself. It's a full carbon fibre paddle. We've got a little design essence there, little design feature there. The switches themselves, they make a good positive click. If I just give one a press, yeah, you can hear there. If I put them against the microphone, they make a good quality click. The hoods, they sit very well in the hand. What you find with some brands, like some of the early Shimano and the early SRAM, with the hydraulic hood, what you found is the hydraulic reservoir sat really, really high. And you've seen this with a lot of brands when they've made their early attempts at shifters. They just look odd. But the look of this shifter, it is spot on. So yeah, very impressed. There's an adjuster in the back here. I suspect that's going to be a reach adjuster. I'll look at that closer when I go and install. So if we peel the back here, you'll see there is your hydraulic hose connector. That's where that goes in there. And if we peel the front, we can see that is where your battery goes under there. You just unscrew that and pop the battery in. So yeah, the overall impression is really, really good. The slight rattle you can hear, that's just the fastenings on the back that aren't done up, so they're making a bit of a clunky rattle. It's not actually anything, there's no actual problem with them. I think if I was to say anything negative about them, the rubber hoods they feel really good, and they're made from a real good quality rubber. But I think a mechanic may struggle to peel them back. I've peeled this one back so I can show you where the bleed port is for the lever. And as you can see, I'm struggling to expose that because the rubber is that thick and tough. So I think, you know, as for a user, that's a great thing because you'll never have to worry about them going all saggy on you. But I think to work on, I think they're going to be a bit of a struggle to pull them back. They might be a bit easier to work with once they're on the levers because you can just get a bit more of a pull on them. So yeah, the levers, first impressions, they are very impressive indeed. So next up, let's take a look at the rear derailleur. So the rear derailleur is fully wireless. Can be customised to shift anything from 7 to 13 speed. Can accommodate up to a 36 tooth cassette and is made from a combination of carbon fibre and cast alloy. It has a waterproof rating of IP67 apparently, which I will be testing with the garden hose. The battery is integral and is charged through that USB port just there. Now I don't know a great deal about the battery, but Wheeltop claims 2,000 operations between charges. So the upper linkage is carbon fibre, as are the two jockey wheel plates. And it does feel very strong and robust. Right, now let's move on to the front derailleur. So as is usually the case with a lot of front derailleurs, there's not a great deal to report. Like many other road derailleurs, it will accommodate a 16 tooth range difference. So for example, it will handle a 50 to 34 or a 52 to 36. Unsurprisingly, it's a braze-on fix, and like its rear counterpart, it's also charged via a USB port with a magnetic connector there. So I imagine in the packaging we've got two separate USB cables. So let's quickly have a look at that now. There you go, unsurprisingly. Right, so let's put all this away and take a look at the brakes. So the brake calipers have a good quality feel about them. They've got this interesting dimpled type finish to them, which is a bit unusual, very cool. Let's have a quick look at the brake pads. That to me looks like exactly the same shape and size as a Shimano pad. That's a standard Shimano L0 pad. So it would seem that the pad that Wheeltop has used is a Shimano road pad. Like Shimano, this uses mineral oil, and mounting accessories are supplied by it would seem. and the kit will accommodate 160 and 140. Okay, so I have synchronized the shifters to the derailleurs. Word of advice here, don't assume it's a simple process. It's not. You need to refer to the Wheeltop user manual. There's a link in the description below for both the PDF format and the video format, and it's, as I say, I won't go into detail in the video because it's not going to add any value right now, but yeah, don't assume it's a simple process and refer to the user manual. So let's just see how many gears it's set to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Set to 11 speed already, that's handy. So yeah, shifting seems to be really smooth and accurate. Let's see if it will scroll through. Very nice indeed. Let's try the front. Interestingly, it seems to have some kind of, if you hold it for a long shift, it does a little trim at the end. But if you do, interesting. Okay, so you hold and it does a little trim at the end, or you can just do a standard shift. Okay, and what I also noticed there, when I was shifting the rear, it was doing like a Shimano shift. See if we can get that to go again. There it is, see it? Interesting. Which is something that I was of the understanding that was a Shimano patented feature. So once again, it'll be interesting to see how Wheeltop got round that. So the next thing that immediately comes to mind for me is, can we get it to synchronize to a Garmin? Sensors, add sensor, and go, no, don't do that. Shifting, shift gears, right, immediate impressions are that you cannot synchronize it to a Garmin head unit like you can Shimano Di2. Let's just tell it it's Di2 and see what it does. No, it's not seeing it. So as you can see there, let's try it on both. Try the other one again. Shifting, searching, and it's just not seeing it. Which is a shame. Okay, so let's take a quick glance at the companion app. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this. I'm going to look at the app a lot closer when I eventually install the Groupset on the bike, but we can take a quick look at it. As you'd expect, you need to register first. Just put in your email address and some stuff. There you go. And we can just scroll through and see the devices we've got. So we've got rear derailleur, front derailleur, and your levers, and straight away you can see your battery levels, which is very handy. Cool. Right, okay, so from this screen here we can change the shift mode, so you can go from a standard, what they call a casual shift, in other words, a more relaxed speed of shifting, and we can get that and we can change that to a racing mode. It gives you a bit of a warning about increased battery wear. And as you can immediately see, that is a now super racy, good quick shifting. And then we can go into a bit more settings, so we can go to the settings page and we can do replace cassette, and here we can basically, according to the app, you can do anything from 3 to 12 speed. I'm not sure whether that's actually correct or not. I'll need to have a play around with that. As I say, this is a really, really brief look. And you can do other calibrations. You can look at firmware updates to see what firmware versions all your devices are running. There we go. And you can do other, fine adjustments and tweaks, and you can muck around with gear shifting and through the app and such and so forth. But as I say, right now I'm not going to go into too much detail on this. I'm going to look at the app a bit closer and use the Groupset configuration tools within the app once I've installed the Groupset onto the bike. So the initial impression we're getting from this Groupset is it's very, very impressive. The feel of the levers, they feel very ergonomic, they sit well in the hand, they just feel nice. And the shifting is very, very accurate, it moves very well. And the derailleurs, they're just making all the noises you want them to make. They just feel like a really good quality product. But you cannot judge a Groupset on a workbench. The only true representation is what it feels like to install and then ride. And that will be my next video, a detailed installation and giving it a good run around the block. So make sure you subscribe for that. But one bit of information I can give you right now, and I should imagine you are all dying to know, is what do these components weigh? So let's put them on the scales. First up, the shifters, 443 grams. The rear derailleur, 326-ish grams. It's flickering. But what you've got to take into consideration, because you're going to compare this to other products out there, if you're comparing that to the Shimano derailleur, you need to remember that the Shimano derailleur doesn't have the battery on it. This one has got its battery built in. So the Shimano may come in 50 grams lighter, but it doesn't have a battery on it. And the same can be said for the front derailleur, which comes in at 189 grams. Brakes, floating around about the 339 mark. So the whole Wheeltop Groupset is coming in at 1298 grams. And what are you going to be comparing that to? Well, you're more than likely going to be comparing it to, say, 105 Di2. And 105 Di2, like for like, comes in at roughly 30 grams lighter, which in the grand scheme of things is the weight of a small chocolate bar. So in my opinion, for me, it's not worth discussing. The SRAM equivalent Groupset, however, that's roughly 100 grams. So, you know, you pays your money, you takes your choice. So the bike I'm going to be installing the Wheeltop EDS Groupset on is my Dolan gravel bike, which is currently running Shimano 105 road. Now, that particular bike gets ridden in some really harsh conditions, both on winter roads and gravel. I very rarely clean it, and I only maintain it when it complains. So the Wheeltop Groupset is going to have a tough ride. So what am I going to be comparing this Groupset to? It feels very good. Yeah, what am I going to be comparing it to? Well, I have done most of my personal electric shifting miles using the very good Shimano Ultegra. So that is my expectation from an electric Groupset. So that is what I'm going to be comparing it to. And some may say I'm being a bit harsh there. Pfft, whatever. Don't get bored of that. I could play with that all day long. Apologies if this video has come across, shall we say, a little bit hectic and a little bit disorganised. I've been aware of this Groupset for a couple of months now, and I wrote the script for it about a month ago. But I've been down in London for the last few days, and when I arrived back first thing this morning, this Groupset was on my doorstep. So I literally grabbed my laptop and grabbed the Groupset, dashed to the workshop, put the camera on a tripod and hit record and started splurting at you. So yes, it is a little bit last minute, a little bit disorganised, and for that I apologise. Now, as I mentioned previously, you cannot judge a Groupset's performance and build quality from its performance on a workbench. You need to get it on the bike, see how it installs on the bike, and then ride it and see how it rides in all the different environments and scenarios. And that will be my next video, and if you would like to see that, make sure you hit that subscribe subscribe button and you will get notified when that video comes out. So in the meantime, thank you very much for watching.